Now, we got it wrong aren't words feedback listeners hear very often, but this week, in an interview with the Radio Times, the Veteran Today presenter John Humphrys claimed that the broadly liberal BBC hadn't been sufficiently sceptical in the past on the issues of Europe and immigration. Many of our correspondents agree with him.
Hello, my name is James Pennington. I can't say that I was surprised to hear that news. In fact, I approach BBC News now the same as I would a newspaper. I have to be aware of its biases and process it accordingly. I expect it to see the world from its comfortable position in the liberal left, cosmopolitan London culture, in how it reports things and in the things it reports.
Hello, my name's Phil Saunders. I think the people who work in the BBC, they've managed to immunise themselves against those nasty oiks that are the public. The BBC is not taking dissenting voices sufficiently seriously, and I don't think they're taking the time to listen to the listeners in a constructive way.
John Humphrys also went on to say that I caught up with him shortly after he came off air on Thursday morning and asked him first whether he had been correctly quoted.
Pretty much.
So when, people say admit conspiracies in the BBC about this and that, have you been part of a conspiracy on Europe or on immigration or anything
No,
like that?
I haven't. But what I've detected, and more importantly, much more importantly, what a very large number of our viewers and listeners have detected over the years, is that we have been broadly liberal. That's the phrase I used.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is when we have considered Europe, for instance, we've considered it. Look, let me go back just a step. I was born during the war, and I was brought up in a country that was terrified of war happening again. That was the thing that scared us all. It was always there. The spectre was always there during my childhood and my youth as well, for that matter. And anything that came along that might result in no more wars in Europe was to be welcomed, was to be embraced, was to be encouraged. And so when the European Union came along, a lot of us thought, absolutely wonderful. No more war in Europe. Simplistic,
but John,
I know.
But the point surely is this. It's not what people may feel in the BBC, it's whether they control those feelings and remain as objective as possible. So to make the claim that the BBC was liberal is to say that its policies and its decision-making were liberal, not necessarily that those...
No, I think it's to make the claim that the mindset was liberal. So when somebody might suggest on this programme or others, let's do so-and-so, a particular politician who was known for his anti-European, his sceptical views, people would tend to say, a bit bonkers, isn't he? Well, maybe not. And maybe he wouldn't then be interviewed. So it wasn't rampant. I didn't suggest in that conversation, the Radio Times conversation, that it was rampant, that we were kind of foaming at the mouth, pro-Europeans, federalists to a man and woman. We weren't, but there was a mindset that thought that the right approach to Europe should be supportive. So no, of course there was no conspiracy, but it was a mindset, it was an approach. And I think if you do an analysis of our coverage during those years, I think that's the impression you would gain as well.
Isn't the problem... And just finally for the record, has any editor ever told you to go soft on a political interviewee?
Nope.
Has anybody ever told you to go soft on the question of immigration?
Nope.
Has anybody ever told you to go soft on the question of Europe?
Nope. But that doesn't prove the point, Roger, because I don't edit the programmes, I don't decide who gets interviewed, and that is crucial to it.